My dad was an army officer, so we grew up with a lot of army discipline at home. Most parents in India want a boy as a child. My family was different. They wanted a girl. I wouldn't have had a problem with that if my dad didn't tell me that when I was very small. He said, "We didn't want you. We wanted a girl." I felt so rejected. And so I tried to do everything that I did to my best. I was good at studies. I was always a distinction student. I was good at every extracurricular activity that the school had. Good at music, quiz, elocution, good at sports. At one point I ran for Karnataka. And I came home with the cup and my dad looked at it and said, "Ha, your school has gone so bad that you should get the prize." Completely shattered me. I was broken. And so I decided to become rebellious and began accepting challenges. One of it came when I was in school. My friends posed a challenge if I could smoke a full cigarette in class when my teacher was there. I did it. And I thought it was cool. And so I continued on with smoking cigarettes. Soon I graduated. Not in studies, but I graduated from smoking to alcohol, from alcohol to drugs. And before I even knew it, I was an injecting drug user. And my drug use was very different because when I had money, I would use the best. When I didn't have, I would use whatever came my way. And so I was a multiple drug user. All I could think about was where I would get my next fix from. Sometimes it was not possible. I just couldn't afford it. And then it gets very difficult. I go through something called as withdrawals and it's very painful. I used to feel all my joints paining, feel nausea, I would feel giddy and very difficult. There were times that I've even tried committing suicide. There were times that I remember this once at home. There's this beam in my room and I tried to hang myself on it and the whole thing came down and I fell down. My life was a complete mess. To support my drugs, I would steal, I would manipulate, I would say lies. And I got into a lot of trouble. And so my dad threw me out of home. Lived with friends for a while. And eventually I was on the street. And I remember this one day I slept in Johnson Market with just newspaper to cover me from cold Bangalore. It was very difficult. And one day I saw this friend of mine coming towards me. This guy used to copy from me in school. I thought I'm going to get something. He saw me, he turned and walked away. And as I looked at myself, I was so dirty. And I would always wear black and I'm sure I looked pretty bad. And don't blame him for walking away. But that's when I asked a question, what happened to me? Why am I like this? Suddenly I remembered something that I'd learnt as a child. A song. The song was this. Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. I prayed my very first prayer to God. God, do you really love me? God gave me such a peace in my heart with which I knew that He does love me. And so I prayed my second prayer. I said, get me out of all this mess. And then I remember walking out from Johnson Market into that park in front and made a bonfire of all that was there in my pocket. I remember very clearly a foreign lighter just burst. And then as I walked home, Mom was waiting at the door like she knew I was going to come back. Dad was still very skeptical. He thought this is one more of my tricks. It took him a while. But the changes were slow and evident. I cut my hair first, began to sleep on time, eat on time. And one of those days I got up very early, around 6:30. To me that was very different from what it was earlier. Dad noticed it, came and gave me a hug. I felt such a peace in my heart. Like a peace that I'd never felt before. I knew that something was different. I knew that this is going to change things for me. I went back to college and passed out as the best student of the college I went to. Today, I have 2 master's degrees. Never thought that I would have a family. I have a lovely family with 2 wonderful children. I'm really happy now. I should have been dead, or maybe in jail, but the fact that I'm alive, I believe has a purpose for my life. And from there, birthed a dream to start an NGO, to work with those who are struggling with different kinds of addictions. And so we started an organization called Abhayam. Now the word Abhayam is a Sanskrit word. It means freedom and shelter. And we have all kinds of people that come in for rehabilitation. One of the things that happens in the home is a compulsory guitar class. And as a result, we now have a band that travels around singing songs of hope and freedom.